A few short remarks here. All right. I'm very happy to be here about this. This property tax deduction was supported by the American Legion and many other veteran service organizations, and I'm very happy that the administration is taking this forward. I'm going to be taking advantage of this situation here because I could use the money to help pay for my grandson who's going to be starting kindergarten and parochial school. So it's at least one payment anyway. So I'd like to introduce Mayor de Blasio. Thank you.
Paul, I want to thank you. You just made tax plan very vivid to people. It's one payment for kindergarten for your grandchild. That's beautiful. I want to thank you, Paul, for all you have done for your fellow veterans and all you've done through the American Legion. And I think I have my facts right, that in addition to your service in the Vietnam War, you retired as a lieutenant colonel from the Army Reserve. So we thank you for your leadership and what you've done ever since to help your fellow veterans. Let's give Paul a round of applause, everyone. And a big thanks to Deputy Mayor Richard Bury, to our Finance Commissioner Jacques Jiha, and to our Deputy Commissioner for Department of Veterans Services, Jeffrey Roth. Thanks to all of them. Look, this has been a labor of love for sure. The more we have looked at the needs of our veterans in this city, the more we've seen that there are real issues that have to be addressed. And I want to thank everyone, all the veteran leaders who are gathered here, the elected officials, the members of my administration. There's been a common purpose, a sense of a need that has to be answered. And I felt this very strongly on Memorial Day. I talked to Steve Matteo about this. I was at the Intrepid for the Memorial Day ceremony. I had the great honor of meeting two veterans who served at Pearl Harbor and were there the day of the Japanese attack and still with us well into their 90s. It was very, very moving to speak with them. And perhaps it was their presence that reminded me of a reality that really shouldn't be accepted by any of us, regardless of party affiliation, that our national government for decades hasn't done enough to help our veterans. And we know it. We know it takes many, many forms. We know what's happened with the VA, and we know there's so many other examples of veterans not getting what they need, even though they've done everything for all the rest of us. So that feeling I had on Memorial Day is the epitome of something I know a lot of us have been feeling, and the resolute feeling both in the City Council and in the administration that it may not be the way it should have been, that this local government, the City of New York, has to keep stepping up. It may really be the responsibility of our federal government, but you know what? If our federal government isn't getting it done, then more and more we're going to try and find a way to help our veterans every way there is. And we found some very, very important things we could do over the last few years. Very proud, and I want to thank everyone who was a part of this effort. We took the pledge nationally as a city. We said we had to end chronic veteran homelessness, and with everyone's extraordinary efforts, we ended it. We still have more work to do whenever a veteran is homeless to make sure we get them to housing very, very quickly. But that work has gotten stronger and stronger with each passing year. We said we had to focus on the mental health challenges of veterans. And that work was propelled forward the day we hired General Lori Sutton into this administration. Even though she's not here, give her a round of applause. She was leading the charge when we had a mayor's office for Veterans Affairs, and has built, with so many of you, the Department for Veterans Services, and made the mental health needs of veterans a crucial part of that work. And more veterans are getting the help they need because of it. We knew that veterans with disabilities weren't benefiting sufficiently from the rent freeze, and we made sure that more and more of them got that rent freeze they deserve. Those are all examples of changes that have been made, changes we're proud to have made here in this city. But we knew there was more to do. And I want to give a lot of credit to the City Council and to my colleagues, my colleague Steve Maio from the City Council, and my colleague Mike Cusick from the Assembly, who have been leading the charge, looking at everything that veterans needed, and they came to the same conclusion that Paul mentioned a few moments ago. The expanding property tax exemptions for our veterans who have served in wartime is a really positive, helpful, straightforward, fair, just thing we can do to thank people who have done so much for us. What it means, and this was a priority this year in the budget process, and we had to make a choice between a lot of important things, but we came to the conclusion this was something that would make a real, tangible difference in the lives of our veterans. It means an estimated average savings of $610 per year per veteran homeowner. So $610 more on top of the existing exemption of $545 a year. That means for the average veteran who qualifies, $1,155 in savings each year. That is real money. That will help real families. So the challenge for all of us, the standard to which we have to be held, is do we do more than just say thank you for your service? It's nice to say thank you for your service, perfectly good thing to do. Better is to act. Better is to show in deed rather than just in word that we're helping our veterans every single day. And if we want to show people that we don't take their service for granted, we don't take their sacrifices for granted, here's a way to do it: by lightening their economic burdens and giving them a little bit of a break as a way of saying thanks for always being there for the rest of us. With that, I want to turn to the sponsor in the City Council of this legislation. He is a member of the Committee on Public Safety, and he helped to forge a bipartisan consensus in the City Council and bring this to the fore. And I will also say he is not a registered lobbyist in the traditional sense, but he's very persuasive, and he constantly reminded me of how important a priority this was for our veterans. So I want to say congratulations and well done, Councilmember Steve Maio.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me start off with thanking the veterans behind us and all the veterans in the city and throughout our country for their service and for their sacrifice. And just you have given us so much that we're able to live our lives. We just want to always say thank you, and as the mayor said, act. So I just want to start off with thanking you, and just a nice round of applause for our veterans who are here. I just want to get a couple more thanks out of the way in the beginning. I want to start off with my colleagues on Staten Island, Mike Cusick and Senator Lanza, for a bipartisan effort to hand us off the bill in the state, for your work in the state, for you recognizing how important it is, because it truly takes this bipartisan effort to make sure this was done. So Mike, thanks for your partnership into making this happen. I want to thank the Speaker of the Council. I'm also on budget negotiating team, and there was no question that this was my top priority, and the Speaker got on board very quickly. My colleagues got on board very quickly to make this a priority, to put it into the response to the mayor's budget. So without their support, we wouldn't be here today. So I want to make sure I thank the Speaker and my colleagues, my Staten Island colleagues, Debbie Rose and Joe Borelli, Councilmember Ulrich, the chair of the Veterans Committee, and the rest of the council who stood behind us. And as the mayor said, we go to all the veterans events and we all say thank you. And what I always tell our veterans that we need to do more than say thank you. We need to improve your quality of life, but we have to make sure that you know that we're here for you just like you were here for us. And today, by doing this, I hope that we've proven that we are here for you. Putting money back in your pocket is well-deserved. It's a long overdue, and I couldn't be more happy to spearhead this legislation. We're going to pass the legislation in the council in the next 2 weeks, and then the mayor will sign it quickly thereafter. So it's been a team effort, and talking about the relationship between the mayor and I through this process, as we got close to ending budget negotiations, I believe it was Tuesday, I said to myself, I have to talk to the mayor directly on this. I sent him an email. The mayor responded very quickly that we were going to discuss this and make this a priority. We discussed with his staff, council staff, with me directly, and on Friday we met in his office and came to the agreement and to the compromise that we did to make sure that it's in the budget. And it's going to be in the budget. It's going to be in the budget for some years to come. And it wasn't easy. There's no question. And the mayor talks about priorities, but to his credit, he listened. He knew this was the right priority. The speaker did the same as well. And we have such great news that we've got this $25 million in the budget. I want to thank council, finance staff too. I see them in the back because without their expertise, we couldn't get here either. So thank you. Again, thank you to the veterans. Thanks to Mike, the mayor, and everyone here. And it's a great day for our veterans. And we will keep showing you that you are our priority. And I hope that you feel that this will help you a bit. It's certainly not a cure-all, but we all know living in this city is very expensive. So it'll help you with the payment. It'll help you go out to eat a little bit. We certainly need, in my opinion, to do more on property tax relief, but there's no better group to start than to our veterans who sacrificed and served. So thank you, and thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And thank you very much, Steve. Before I bring up Mike Cusick, I just want to note all of us are going to have to spread the word that this benefit is available to veterans. And Commissioner Jacques Giha and his team have done an outstanding job. They actually go out of their way to give people back money. This is not your grandfather's finance department. They actually try to give people back money who deserve it. But we're all going to have to work together with the extraordinary reach of veterans organizations to make sure that everyone who qualifies gets the money that's coming to them. Now, I will conclude by turning to Mike Cusick, and I don't always have good things to say about Albany, New York. But Mike, yes, Mike is worthy of an exception. There's a lot of times when we're trying to get important things done for the city, we run into roadblocks. Here's a case where we believe this is crucial for the city, and we've had the kind of support and leadership in Albany to make it happen. So, Mike, you've been outstanding. You've been leading the charge for this. Because of the work you did in Albany, this all became possible here. So it's literally been the reverse of what we normally experience. You opened the door rather than closed the door. And also great thanks to Senator Andy Lanza, who was my colleague in the council a few years ago. You guys deserve great credit for being the spark plugs here. So my pleasure to introduce Assemblymember Mike Cusick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for those kind words. Thank you for having this event. But most of all, thank you to you and Steve and the council for doing this. Because, as you said, this came from an Albany law, but municipalities could opt into it. You chose, the mayor, the city council chose to give our veterans this property tax exemption. So I want to thank you for that. I want to thank our veterans, of course. You know, when I took office in the Assembly, I made a promise to our local veterans that I would make sure that as an elected official, I would make it a priority to make their life easier, as you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, because of the sacrifices they made to make our lives easier and protect our families here in New York City. And doing something like this makes their life a little bit easier. And on that, I would like to thank all the veterans who are here, because this started years ago in Albany And it started because of the local veterans. They were the ones who brought it to us. And this is how elective office should work. And this is how government should work. The community comes to the elected official works across the aisle, and this is the way Albany and the city of New York should work, and this is how we are getting a result. And I want to thank, of course, we passed this in 2013 to allow all local municipalities to opt in, but when Steve Matteo became the minority leader, he took it as his priority to make sure that New York City was able to opt into this, working with the Speaker of the City Council, getting this done. This is a very important day for veterans. I want to again thank my colleague. I want to thank the council and the mayor because this is a great day for our veterans. Thank you so much.
See you now. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Have automatic